It's no good Nigel Farage, after the event, saying that he doesn't agree with certain comments. You set the culture, you set the tone. That's what leadership is about, and that's why I set about changing the Labour Party 4.5 years ago. And that took an act of leadership, steely determination, so that we could ensure the Labour Party going into this election is a changed Labour Party, putting forward, a manifesto for the future of our country.
I just think if he's distanced himself from the comments, Nigel Farage, he's dismissed people from his party. What else can he do to stamp out all of these candidates every day coming out saying unpleasant things?
He's not a spectator. He's the leader. And leaders have to set the tone, set the standards and take the action so that people know in advance what is acceptable and what's not acceptable.
Women do support football, but it's not quite the image you want. And I do think what you were saying just now about the video in the fields with the dogs, maybe he was looking to get a more female-centric vote. But unfortunately, the majority of the high-level individuals in Reform are men.
I think just to pick up on that, I think when you were talking about how nowadays the voters are more electorally flexible, they're more willing to try out different parties, it does work both ways as well. So if there are Tory voters who were looking to go Reform, now they see these comments and it doesn't take much to bring them back either. And I think that's something that these comments probably would have done.
Yeah, and I do think that we need more women in politics. This is always something that I bang on about endlessly and get a lot of abuse for. But I think you need it, and I think you need to perhaps sometimes calm down the rhetoric that comes out from all parties. And it's not just Reform, it is all parties suffer from that.
And interesting that Reform seem to be doing quite well amongst young men. Anyway, we'll come back to you in a moment because there's lots to cover. You're watching the Politics Hub coming up.
Well, joining me now is Julian Assange's brother, Gabriel Shipton. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. How is he?
Yeah, Julian obviously is overwhelmed to be out of prison, and he's been on a plane for a very long time now. He's not quite home back in Australia yet, so he's still got a little bit of a way to go. But yeah, I've been speaking to him this week and just going through all the details with him, and very anxious, very excited, and he's looking forward to spending time with his family and being free, being able to have the sunshine on his face, hear the birds, go for a swim in the ocean back in Australia. So he's very much looking forward to that.
What's his health like these days? Because, of course, he's been...
See how it can be a natural home for them in the Conservative Party.
All right.
We are passionate about our defence of democracy and freedom, both historically and in the here and now.
Okay.
And that just feels at odds with a lot of things.
If I may, I just want to ask you one last question. Some of your colleagues are talking about the election as a foregone conclusion. But even if you don't take that point of view, some people think that the voters might be persuaded if they thought that there would be a different kind of leadership in the Conservative Party. Major issue that could motivate right-leaning voters is the right sort of leader. Are you up for it?
Look, I've said my focus is on getting myself and my colleagues re-elected. I want to try and make sure you get enough MPs to form a Conservative majority. If that isn't the case, then we will deal with the circumstances as we find that. We want to make sure that, if we do have to hold the Labour Party to account, we'll do so. But look, my instinct is that the leader of the opposition...
I think there was a definite sense in the campaign and in the debates that Trump saw the potential for the pandemic to be an existential threat to his presidency. The suggestion that he downplayed the risks of COVID.
Coronavirus, right? Kung flu, yeah. It's going to disappear. One day it's like a miracle, it will disappear. Looks like by April, in theory, when it gets a little warmer, it miraculously goes away. I hope that's true.
For Biden, there was an opportunity, because if the more Trump suffered in the polls, the more Biden would profit from that.
I know how to do the job. I know how to get the job
Well, you didn't do very well in swine flu. H1N1, you were a disaster. Your own chief of staff said you were a disaster.
14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was no economic recession.
Sir, you made a
there was no recession.
You made a point. Let him answer.
And there was we didn't shut down the economy. This is his economy he shut down.
As much as COVID was a backdrop to the whole election, so of course was the issue of racial justice and the killing of George Floyd and the anger that provoked around the country.